Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. It's a great pleasure, an enormous privilege to be here as part of a jury that has felt humbled by the task that was placed upon it. This is my first time as a member of the jury for the Translation Award, and I was introduced to extraordinary experience reading books from all corners of India. And I have, even in today's event, been made conscious of the fact that this award particularly has placed a special emphasis upon translation. The first of the many awards that are being given today is the Translation Award. This is because this award recognizes that in the multilingual culture of India, our literary culture is a culture of translation. It is an endless, ceaseless process of translation that connects us as Indians to other members of our extraordinary, rich, multilingual and multicultural community. So I think that the fact that translation is thus recognized is an important means of recognizing this as a peculiarly Indian prize. I think that this is something that we need to remember. As to the process of selection, we were supplied, of course, by the publishers initially and then through a process of selection with a number of books, about 30 books, which we read carefully. We discussed the process, the books amongst ourselves. We discussed particularly the delicate balance that needs to be achieved between the fidelity of the translation and the excellence of the original. That is to say, after all, this is not a prize simply for the translator. It is a prize for the writer of the book. It is not a prize for a translation that serves a certain purpose. It is a means of recognizing the extraordinary richness, depth, and diversity of Indian literature in the various languages of India. So this is what we tried to do. We tried to achieve this balance. We tried to confer with each other where we felt that the book is extraordinary, but the translation has not done enough justice to the original, or where we felt that the translation is excellent, but the book doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. So after a process of discussion and confabulation amongst ourselves, we released a long list. That long list was, of course, communicated to the public. Then we arrived at a short list. That short list is the five, the authors and the translators who have just been honored. And I think it is very, very important to recognize that being on the short list is really, to me, almost the final thing. Beyond the short list, when we make our final selection, that is something that, it's we arrive at this decision. The decision is one to which we have all given our assent, but that is not to recognize the excellence of other books, other translations. And indeed, it was a learning experience, an educative experience for all of us. One point that I would like to make, that about 20 years ago, in a celebrated article which raised enormous controversy in academic circles, the critic Ejaz Ahmed questioned the very category of Indian literature. And he asked what Indian literature might be, because it is written in so many different languages. Is it possible to speak of an Indian literature? He also lamented the fact that an archive of Indian literature is, in a sense, emerging in a language of translation that does not necessarily suit it, that is, English. English may be the most unsuited to constitute this archive of translations from Indian literature. But like it or leave it, this is what has happened. And we cannot turn our backs upon that history. We can't say that this has not happened. It has happened in our lifetimes. We can see that it is in the language of translation that has been chosen as the one in which this archive of translations is being constructed, is very largely English. It's true that there are some other languages too, in which there are many translations, and Indian languages do translate amongst each other. But it is important, I think, to recognize where this, the great body of translations from Indian languages exists, and to honor the effort, the care, the labor, and the creative originality and brilliance with which many of these translations have been produced and are now being given out to the public. I think that the Indian public, the reading public, has accepted these translations, taken them to their hearts, and are reading far more Indian literature today than they would have done maybe 10 or 15 years ago. So I think that there is something to recognize and honor. Thank you.
Remain on stage while I invite our Chief Guest Subramurthy to announce the winner and present the award of the Economist Crossword Indian Language Translation category. Mrs. Subramurthy. Where's the envelope? The fabled envelope, I think, is on its way. And tell us who is the winner. Sign functioning okay?
Winner of the Indian Translation Award for the year 2011, Catherine Thankama and R. Narayanan for this It's a joint prize. The other person, Aruna Sinha and Anita Agnihotri for 17.
So we have two winners in the Indian language translation category. 17, written by Anita Agnihotri and translated by Arunava Sinha, and the Araya women, written by R. Narayanan and translated by Catherine Thankama. A huge congratulations to all of you. Come forward, don't be shy. This is the moment in the sun. Thank you. Could the winners say a few words, please? And could you get the microphone to them?
It is a great recognition to the Adivasi people of India. I belong to one of them. The rest, my translator will serve.